World War III, we get the New World Order.
Yeah. Everything that comes out of, something's brought about as a result. I think we're looking at the massive, I was just talking about it earlier before break, the coming persecution, and how we haven't seen it yet like we're going to. First, I think it will start off between the churches themselves, amongst the churches, believers against believers, and it's going to spread out. Eventually, we're going to see the concentration camps coming into view, and we've warned about that on this show. And there's many people on the internet been warning about concentration camps being built for the New World Order agenda. And I've been warning, and that the aliens themselves will be the ones running these things. Of course, you just go from agenda to agenda to agenda to agenda. But you've stumbled upon one aspect about this whole water supply thing that's very interesting.
Right. I'm aware of the warnings about concentration camps, and I do know that if this system does get activated, they'll be able to wipe out the people that they need to without putting them into camps. So I don't know about the camps. I've looked at some of those websites, and I can't. It's not something I have documented myself, and as a reporter, I accept and look at new information, but I have documented this business about the water system. Just to go back to that for a moment, when I approached Santa Monica about this, and I'd already been bereft of a job and was doing this freelance. The first letter that I got back from the city of Santa Monica, remember I did both cities, Santa Monica and Los Angeles, and Los Angeles, they are adjacent. First letter I got back, and it is on the website, and by the way, the title of the article is Public Extermination Project. If you Google that title, the article will come up so you can see what I am talking about. Okay, when I went to Santa Monica City Hall about this, I got a letter back, a very curious letter back from the city attorney's office after I made my request for records. And unfortunately, once again, we have a letter replete with lies. The first statement in that letter, which is on the website, issued by Joseph Lawrence, who is the assistant city attorney in Santa Monica, stated that there were no documents responsive to my request. And my request at that point was very broad. I was requesting records on water line work, from September 2001 on. Now, he stated there were no documents. However, during the period of time I was requesting this, at that very day that I made that request, they were digging up the streets 2 blocks away from Joseph Lawrence's office doing water work. So if there are no documents responsive to that request, I think Bin Laden is out here on the West Coast commandeering city crews and digging up the streets, because if there aren't any records, it must be a terrorist attack. Right?
Yes.
So that was line number 1. Line number 2 in that letter, he quoted, basically restated, or actually attempted to restate the Public Records Act. And he said that the Public Records Act in California is not meant to facilitate research. Well, excuse me, I don't believe Joseph Lawrence has read the Public Records Act, because that's exactly what it's meant to do. It is meant to assist in information gathering. Now, what is information gathering? It's research. So basically, he lied twice. And then he just kind of made a grab for something and said that, well, certain records can't be released because of, it would impede efficient government operations. So first of all, there are no records. Second of all, he won't release the records he doesn't have because the Public Records Act doesn't mandate it. And then he cites, another decision saying that he doesn't have to because it'll impede efficient government operations. So which is it, Joe Lawrence? He was really reaching for every excuse possible. It's very shocking when public servants start to massively betray the populace. And we see it happening at the highest levels of power. We're also seeing it in city government. They're protecting information. They're protecting information that has federal implications.
Right.
Because as I said, this particular system appears to be attempted to be legalized in Section 817 of the Patriot Act, which is the expansion of the biological weapons statute. Now, I found that particular section of the Patriot Act after I wrote the article. It was before the first interview I did on this, which was on KPFK last year. but it was right before the interview. I was scrolling through the Patriot Act, and I seized on the wording there, and it was shocking, because basically what they're saying is they are legalizing a system where you can set up a delivery system for the delivery of toxins. Now, what are toxins? Toxins are poisons. So they are legalizing a system which can poison people. And the next question, when I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, there must be an error here. They must be talking about some kind of wartime issue. So I scrolled down Section 817 to the list of restricted persons who may or may not be involved in these delivery systems and toxins. And they're not talking about a military operation. The only restricted persons are those with a felony record and those who have been adjudicated insane. So I guess nobody at DWP is considered a criminal or insane, although, you know, people who would actually authorize and work on this system and lie about it, I would say they are both criminal and insane.
So you're saying that this whole thing is buried in terminology of expanding biological weapons?
Mm-hmm.
And so within this whole clause of delivery systems of biological weapons, they're actually referring to just establishing water lines?
It doesn't talk about water. It says delivery systems and toxins.
And toxins.
And this however, when I was, Sherry, what keyed me off to this section is when I was researching this, at one time I was in the presence of an FBI agent who knew very well what I was looking at and looking into at that time. And he referred to it as a delivery system. He referred to the waterwork as a delivery system. So, when I ran across that verbiage in the Patriot Act, it stopped me cold. Because there it was. This is a nation of laws. We are supposed to be governed by laws. Now, if they wanted to do something really appalling, because this is a nation based on the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and a whole compendium of laws, they would try to legalize it, wouldn't they? And that is what they have done in Section 817 of the Patriot Act. They have legalized a system which can produce mass death. Now, I called the Department of Justice when I found this section. I called the Department of Justice. I spoke with somebody in the press office there named Mark Cavallo, who is no longer there. And reporters on the line asked a question about the Patriot Act. Oh, he's glad to call me back. Well, I asked him about Section 817. He sounded very nervous. And I asked him basically as a slam dunk question. Is this system meant to legalize the inducement of death, the termination of life? At that point, Mr. Cavallo simply blurted out, why don't you call the House Judiciary Committee? They passed the damn thing. And he would not answer any more questions. He got off the line and will not return my calls. He has since left the DOJ. His replacement also will not return my calls. So I called over to the House Judiciary Committee. I got the Minority Counsel office and basically asked the same question. And the man on the other end of the line started sputtering really nonsense. He says, oh, no, we're talking about masks. I said, no, we're not talking about, he says, masks to prevent toxicity. I said, no, there's nothing there about that. Masks, about delivery systems for toxins. I said, no, are you talking about a system that can result in the termination of life? He got off the line, had to take another call, will not come back to the phone. In fact, I can't get anybody at the house now to return my calls. Sounds to me like we got a covert operation.
Oh, yeah, and you've gotten a lot of heat for uncovering this. We're going to have to take a break, and we're going to come back in 5 minutes for the second part of the show. Can you hang on for 5 minutes?
Absolutely, Sherry.
Okay. What we're going to do is take a break, folks, for 5 minutes, and we'll be right back. We'll be back with the second hour of the show. We'll be right back.